Hey everybody, welcome to the Shadows of the Moon podcast with a little bit of chaos. If you're looking for some talk on the paranormal, cryptozoology, UFO community with some self-empowerment and tarot thrown in there, then you come to the right place. I'm your host, Shadows of the Moon, and sitting across from me, as always, is my co-host with the most, Mr. Chaos. So sit back, relax, and let's join in the conversation. Hello, everybody. What's going on? How is everybody? What is up? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Holy crap. Thank you, Judge Julie Slayer, for the follow. How are you? Thank you, Nicole. And I lied. Chaos isn't here. You're the best around. What is going on? So yeah, Chaos is working. Unfortunately, the truck didn't get there till 8 a.m. this morning. So yeah, he's working. How has everybody been? Long time no see, guys. Long time no see. Yeah. So now I have to, find something out where when Chaos is working, another freaking intro, I just worked on that. Now I got to do another intro. Oh, thank you, Nicole. Yeah, I went back to blue black. It's still gonna change yet. I gotta find a highlighter kit so I can do the whole cap thing that put with the crochet hook poking the hair through the cap, and then I'm gonna put the red on that. So it'll be changing again, but. I don't know what it is because, this is close to my normal. Obviously, you can tell with my eyebrows. This is close to my normal hair, but the thing of it is that when I have it close to I don't know what it is about it, but it feels more thicker, so it's driving me nuts. My moonlights are different. Are they different? No, those are the ones I always use, I believe. I don't know, maybe. Hey, Heather, how you doing? How you doing? Well, yeah, that's the thing, and I was discussing hey, Freaky Geek, I was discussing to one of my people that came in to get a room the other night, we were talking about hair and everything, and it's like, I sit there and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to be fine. My grays come in, listen, I'm 47, what can I say? I have gray hair, so I let them come in, and then after a little bit, I get sick of it, and I'm like, no, I can't do it. And so I got to dye it. It's the same with the length. I'm like, I'm going to let my hair grow long, and then it's like, nope, I'm sick of it, got to cut it. So it's really weird, I'm doing great, Heather. Thank you for asking. How are you doing? Oh, I already asked that. That's why she said, oh, I'm doing okay, thanks. Of course. Why is my notifications coming up? Usually I have them and when I go live, they shut off. But apparently not today. Anyway, yeah, so Chaos is not here today, which is all right. We get through the show without him. Thank you for the ice cream, Nicole. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You're the best. You're the best around. You guys are the best. So, not much going on. Had a strange, month. Planned to go live a long time ago. But, you know, things come up and it's just been really crazy at work. You know, we've been sold out for 3 weeks. Now it's starting to die down again. So, you know, people laugh at me because I get 7 o'clock at night is when I get off of work. I come home, I eat, and then I crash. I go to bed around 8:30 a.m. Yeah, 8:30 p.m. And it's like, holy shit, I am old. Hey, Eli, how you doing? Okay, Andy will be here soon. Okie dokie. Awesome. How you feeling, Eli? How you doing? Welcome, welcome, of course. But yeah, it's been a crazy couple of weeks and oh, hey Anton, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. Good to see you guys. Uh so yeah, hopefully everything is on mellowing out so now I can get back to actually streaming and everything. I do have a new website. It's shadowsofthemoons.com. Morning all. Sorry I'm late. My secretary asked, do you have a Missy's link earlier? Upon replying, no. That seemed to be the end of the subject. Just can't get the good staff these days, right? Ah, Freaky Geek, on your laptop. I did see your post about your keyboard going on the wonk. Oh, I'm sorry you're hurting, Eli. Hopefully it'll work itself out and you feel better. I hope so. You know, we're all thinking about you. But yeah, so shadowsofthemoons.com. All my links are on there. Hey, Pammy, how you doing, hon? Welcome, welcome. I have, if you have stories to share. Thank you, Heather, for the lemons. Better turn that down a little bit. My neighbors will be like, what the hell is going on? Who's clicking the cash register? So all my links are on there. If you have a story to tell, whether it be about paranormal, cryptids, UFOs, whatnot, the link's on there. If you go under the podcast portion, you can either contact me through writing on the app that's on there, or you can leave a voice message, and the link is there to click on to leave me a message. Also, I'm switching the forums over to there. Whole different setup. It'll cost a little bit more, but I like the way it looks, even though it's a pain in the ass because I hate coding. And with, you know, Wix websites, they tend to, you can do a lot more stuff on there. And even though I hate freaking coding, it just looks a lot nicer to me. So, and of course, all the merch is over there. It's not up yet. I'm getting there. But yeah, so figured to give it a try, but it's a bit slow with the computer. Gotcha. Welcome back, Nubs. Welcome back. So yeah, if you go to, like I said, shadowsofthemoons.com, it's all up there. My thank you page is up there for everybody that, my mods, my donators, my mooners, all that good stuff. Because you guys are what make the show. You guys are what do it. But I hope everybody is doing well. Like I said, I should be able to, knock on wood, that I should be able to keep up the live streaming now. Hopefully everything just doesn't go wonky, right? I did get some news today that there will be some changes going on in my life, but it's okay. I'm good with it. But I'm going to do it in slow wise to where I'm transitioning while I'm still streaming. It's going to be my main thing. God bless America. Yeah, so, yeah. Okay, Andy. Andy said, just sent you a video with 5 stories to tell for you to watch, Missy. It's the last one that's the best. I will definitely check it out. Love it. Love it. Love your guys' stories. I love people sending me stories. I love it. Yes, good changes. Good changes, Nicole. Nope, there's an S on there. Heather, I believe. Hold on, let me click on it, make sure. If I lose, yeah, that's just the blog. No, it's uh, let me see. Shadows of the Moon. Yes, because maybe. Let me. I had to type it to see. Yeah, that's it. There it is. Some stuff on there is still a little wonky. I gotta fix, like that when the shadows of the moon things come up. The shadow of the moon flips around. It's not even, and that's bugging the hell out of me. Is that weird or what? I don't know. It's OCD. What can I say? That's on Facebook, by the way? Okay. Awesome. I will definitely check it out, Andy. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So today we're talking about psychometry. So if the best is the last, that's the one to check out first, right? There you go. All right. Thank you, Heather. I appreciate you guys so much. Hey, Murad, what's up? So yeah, today's show we are talking psychometry, and then we'll get into some ghost stories afterwards. Um, if you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're not so new here, thanks for coming back. I appreciate it. Uh, Mondays, of course, is Monday Musings, where we talk everything paranormal and from haunted places to creepy stories to your stories. I'm doing good, Murad. Thank you for asking. How are you? The moon isn't even either in real life, that is. That's true, Andy. That's a good way to look at it. Thank you for pointing that out. It's a good way to look at it. I feel better now. That's okay, Heather. We all love autocorrect so much, do we not? Um, but yeah, and then we got some creepy stories. I got some. One that I wanted to do first was someone has I saw it on Reddit, and where they have a mimic spirit. And I'd like to get your guys' opinions on mimic spirits. Why do they mimic? Why do they, you know, and again, you know how I feel about uh, being evil or whatnot. I think there's, obviously people have had, not so nice spirits mess with them and stuff like that. But I don't think all mimics are, I think it could be something else as well, not just negative spirits. But I'd like to hear your take after I tell the story. But anyway, to get on the topic of psychometry, psychometry is where, you pick up an item and you can feel or see. Some people see videos in their head, some people see pictures in their head, some get, things in their head, words in their head, whatever, however you portray it. You pick up an item and you feel something, or you see something, or you know what I mean? So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Um, oh, you're back in Connecticut now? Nice, Pammy. Nice. Very, very cool. I know you were in Long Island for a long time, weren't you? That's pretty cool in itself. That's very cool. Yeah, mostly fragments, pieces of video. Yeah, a lot of people see that way. Me, I get words in my head. I get all different things. I get words, I don't get so much pictures or video, but a lot of times, like when I'm doing tarot readings, my spirit guides or higher self, whatever you want to call them, will put pictures of things that I've gone through in my life to kind of to show me the story that they want me to tell, or not tell, but put it together to that reading. Or I'll get emotion. Emotion is a big thing with me, obviously. But yeah, um, but the thing with it is with psychometry, with any of the clairs or any of the gifts, um, to me, everybody has some. Everybody has some, and it depends on what you want to open up to, right? So it's also known as clairtendency. Man, let me tell you, clairtendency, otherwise known as clear touching, right? And of course, it's a technique that's used to sense information by touching the item. And how that works is same with crystals. How crystals have vibrations, we have vibrations. That's what we're picking up on. And people tend to not use we tend to not to use our gifts any as much anymore. Like all of us, right? We all have telepathy. We were all born with telepathy, but yet because of we don't need it anymore because what? We can pick up a phone and call the person we want to call. Oh, like different types of was that is that supposed to be activity like a medium? I don't know. Is that what you meant for geek? But yes, yeah. We all have that. All of us. All of us have all the clairs. It's just what you're open to and what you open up to being able to do. Um so let's go ahead and get into it. Excuse me. So psychometry is a psychic ability in which a person can sense or read the history of an object by touching it. Such a person can receive impressions from an object by holding it in his or her hands, or alternatively touching it to their forehead. I do that a lot. Like if when I get a different crystal, I don't know why. It's just something I've always done. Is I've held it to my third eye. Um, Such impressions can be perceived as images, sounds, smells, taste, or even emotions. So psychometry is a form of basically it's a form of scrying. You're seeing something that is ordinarily not seeable. I like that little or that little witch, Nicole. That's so cute. Um, some scry using crystal balls, black glass, or even the surface of water. With psychometry, this is an extraordinary vision, and it's available through touch. A person who has psychometry abilities can hold an antique glove and tell something about the history of that glove, the person who owned it, or the experiences the person had while wearing it, or while they were in possession of it. You are cute, Nicole. I put it in my hands and close them somehow to hide the energy feeling or guide the energy feeling. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You hold the crystal and yeah, I get it. We all have different techniques and definite different things that we know about ourselves. So we know if, like something doesn't work for you, you don't do it, you try something else and that'll work for you. That's why I love talking about different things with you guys because something that, I've said it many times before, something that works for me might not work for you and vice versa. Nicole said, like the other day, Andy's youngest granddaughter was there, told her she was cute. Her reply, 4 years old. I know. Out the mouths of babes, I tell you. So the psychic may be able to sense what the person was like, what they did, or how they died. Perhaps the most important, the psychic can sense how that person felt at a particular time. Emotions in particular are most strongly recorded on the object. And the psychic may not be able to do this with all objects at all times, obviously, because with psychic abilities, anyway, the accuracy can vary. They can be picking up on something else. You never know. Sensitivity. Yes. Okay. So, where did psychometry come from? Right? So, it was coined by Joseph Buchanan in 1842 from the Greek words psyche, meaning soul, and metron, meaning measure. Buchanan, an American professor of psychology, was one of the first people to experiment with psychometry. Using his students as subjects, he'd place various drugs in glass vials and asked the students to identify the drug merely by holding the vials. Their success rate was more than chance, and he published the results in his book, Journal of Man. To explain the phenomenon, Buchanan theorized that all the objects have souls that retain memory. Everything, living or dead, everything has vibration. Okay? Even this table has vibration. That's how it becomes solid, believe it or not. It's very weird. If you get into string theory and all that stuff, it explains it. It explains it to, if that's what you believe. Let's put it that way. So, intrigued by Buchanan's work, an American professor of geology, William F. Denton, conducted experiments to see if psychometry would work with his geological specimens. In 1854, he enlisted the help of his sister, Anne Denton Cridge. So he basically wrapped his specimens in cloth so Anne could not see whatever they were. Then she placed the package to her forehead and was able to accurately, I can talk, describe the specimens through vivid mental images she was receiving. From 1919 to 1922, Gustav Panstetzer, a German doctor and physical researcher, discovered psychometry abilities in one of his patients. Maria Reis de Zerold. While holding an object, Maria could place herself in a trance and state facts about the object's past and present, describing sights, sounds, smells, and other feelings about the object's experience in the world. Panstetcher's theory was the psychometrist could tune into the experimental vibrations condensed in the object. Yes, they do. That's right, Freaky Geek. Indians believe everything have a soul. Hello, Amora. How are you, sweetie? Welcome, welcome. Hey, Spitfire, how you doing? So, how does this work, right? Well, Panstetcher's vibration theory is getting the most serious attention from researchers, as it should. I mean, we all, like I said, everything has vibrations. And it's basically, in my take on it, is we all have auras, right? So our aura is basically mixing with another aura, and it's kind of like we might not see everything, but our auras do. Okay, that's kind of what gives you, to me, that's what kind of gives you the creeps factor when you walk into a room and somebody's arguing and you're just like, that tension, feeling that tension. That's your aura feeling that tension and feeding it back to you, if that makes sense. Oh, very cool. Amora had a ghost talk with the ghost in the yard today. That's awesome. Thank you for the ice cream, Amora. Appreciate it. Hi, Sela. Or is that Scylla? Is that our Scylla? Did you change your name again? Maybe not. It's okay if you didn't. Well, welcome if you're new here. So psychics say the information is conveyed to them. Rosemary Ellen Gully, which you guys know. Hey, Deborah W., thank you so much for the follow. Thank you. Appreciate that. So his or her Rosemary Ellen Gully, I'm a big fan of. I have a couple of her books. She basically wrote through vibrations imbued in the objects by emotion actions of the past. Thank you so much for the follow, Scylla. Or Scylla, am I saying that right? Sorry if I'm butchering your name. Hey, Ryan! How you doing? Mr. Whisper to Scream Cryptids podcast himself. How you doing, hon? Hopefully everything's well. So these vibrations are not just a new age concept. They've been around for a long time, right? And they have scientific basis as well. In his book, The Holographic Universe, Michael Talbot says about psychometric ability suggests that the past is not lost, but still exists in some form accessible to human perception. With scientific knowledge that all matter on a subatomic level exists essentially as vibrations, Talbot asserted that consciousness and reality exist in a kind of hologram that contains a record of the past, present, and future. It's kind of think of it kind of like, okay, you know how this is how I was taught when I was first when I was first taught about computers, the copy and paste mode, right? How our teacher was awesome. He was like, when you copy something, it goes above the computer into like a cloud. Well, it's the kind of same thing with our resonance, if that makes sense. Hey, Patrick, how you doing, hon? Welcome, welcome. So it's kind of the same way. Or if you think about it the way I think about it, everything is happening at once, at one time. That's why we say live in the moment, right? Because right now, in a different timeline, the pyramids are being built, even though we're here now. It's very strange to think about, but it's pretty wild to research. So all actions, Talbot said, instead of fading into oblivion, they remain recorded in the cosmic hologram and can always be accessed once again. Yet other physical researchers think the information about the object's past is recorded in its aura, the field of energy surrounding every object. According to the article at the Mystica, the connection between psychometry and auras is based in theory that the human mind radiates all aura in all directions and all around the entire body, which impresses everything with its orbit. I don't know if I would call it an orbit, but I mean, all objects, no matter how solid they appear, are porous, containing small or even minute holes, right? So these minute crevices in the object's surface collect minute fragments of the mental aura of the person possessing the object. Since the brain generates the aura, then something worn near the head would transmit better vibrations. So basically, like they said, holding up, something to your third eye might help you see better. Thank you, Patrick, for the ice creams. Deborah, thank you so much for the lemons. Appreciate that. I love it, Ryan. Whisper to Scream podcast says, just think, in an alternative timeline, there's a Ryan who's got his crap together and doesn't need coffee when he first wakes up. That is so true, right? Good to hear, Patrick, that you're getting better. Make sure I didn't miss any comments. Thank you, Patrick, for the ice creams. Thank you, Nicole, for the demand. Thank you so much. Aw, she says, just because we can, from all of us. Love you guys so much. That is awesome. But yeah, so, I mean, it makes sense, right?
Gotta give the boy points.
That's right. Gotta give the boy points. Psychometry, Psychic Gifts explains, you're the best. You're the best around. You guys are. You rock. In Psychometry, Psychic Gifts explained, says the ability is like a tape recorder, since our bodies give off magnetic energy fields. If an object has passed on down through the family, it'll contain information of its previous owners. The psychic can then be thought of a tape player, playing back the information stored on the object. Mario Vavelis, and I'm sure I butchered that, and I'm sorry if I did. He's a PSI explorer, believes that psychometry is a special form of clairvoyance. The individual performing the psychometry may gain psychic impressions directly from the person to whom the object belongs through telepathy. And like I said before, we all have we all have all gifts. It's just what we decide to open up and what doesn't scare us, I guess, because fear, is the number one emotion that, carries the most weight. And so if you're not afraid of doing things, then you can open up. Oh, well, I love you guys. Patrick says, we love you, Missy. I love all you guys. Um, so, through telepathy or maybe clairvoyantly learning about the past or present events in the life of the person, the object may simply serve as a kind of focusing device which keeps the mind from wandering off in irrelevant directions. Elmora says, love that I'm not alone and not able to pronounce all words. Met with love, of course. Of course. No, yes, that's exactly Nicole. Nicole said that's called being unique, Amora. That's right. I have messiisms. That's when I can't say words and they come up all wrong or come out all wrong. Just like what happened. Um but they are messiisms, and what can I do? It's part of who I am. So, do you guys want to learn how to do psychometry? This is what happens, and it involves meditation, kinda, right? That's right. Nicole has Nicoleisms. Shut up, Andy. I'm just saying. Just saying. So, although there are some believe that psychometry is controlled by spiritual beings, um, but most researchers suspect that it's a natural ability of the human mind. I, for one, believe that it's all gifts that people have, which we have them all, every single one of us, okay? It's our higher self or spirit guides, if that's what you want to call them, that help us kind of guide us into learning about ourselves so we can, the more you let go and open up, the more things will come to you. And that's what psychometry is all about is, we all have gut instinct, right? How many times do we listen to it? I've had, you get the red flags, but yet you still go the way that you're not supposed to, right? We all do that. So to learn how to do psychometry is you choose a location that's quiet and free from noise, obviously, because you don't want to be distracted. Um, Sit in a relaxed position with your eyes closed. Rest your hands in your lap with your palms facing up, right? Now, with your eyes remaining closed, ask someone or have someone place an object in your hand. The person should not say anything about it, of course, right? It's usually best if there's several people in the room. So you, like, even if you had two people in the room, someone that could write down what you're saying, and then somebody to hand you the object, right? Or even you can videotape it or use a tape recorder so you know what you're saying, because usually it's kind of like the Etsy method in paranormal, right? You're just blurting out words that you're hearing in the spirit box, but this is just, it's the words you're getting in your mind, or the visions you're getting, or the smells, the taste, whatever you're getting, you're blurting it out. Okay, so the object should be something that the person has had in their possession for a long time to start out with, right? And many researchers believe that the objects made of metal are the best, theorizing that they have a better memory. Just be still. Let the images and feelings come to your mind. Speak them aloud. Don't try to process them, because that's what we're going to try to do when we start this, is you're going to try to process what this means. Like, you're going to try, like in tarot, I'm trying to tell a story, right? To see what's going on or what went on in your life. Don't do that. Just let the words come out. Say whatever you. Thank you, Patrick, for the diamond, for a great woman. You're so sweet. Thank you. Um, so be still as the images and feelings come to your mind. Speak them out loud. Again, don't try to process them. Just say whatever you hear, see, feel, or otherwise sense. Don't judge your impressions. Something that comes to you, like if you say you get the color yellow in your head, right? It might not mean shit to you, but to the person that you're reading for, they're like, oh my God, you know? Or you get the word like daisy, and to you it's like, what's this got to do with a flower? But yet it's somebody's name, and the person whose item is like, oh my God, that was my grandmother Daisy's. Yes, it might not make sense to you, but it'll mean the world to them. And again, this is just like any other gift, right? The more you use it, the more you practice, the more better you'll get. So again, don't judge your impressions. These impressions may be strange and meaningless to you, but might be significant to the owner, of course. Um, and don't edit anything. Just speak everything that comes out. The more you try, the better you become, like I just said, right? You should start to see better results, and your mind becomes used to seeing the information. But you can progress. At first you'll be pleased to pick up on things correctly, but the next stage is following the pictures or feelings. There may not be a lot of information that you can obtain, but there might be a lot more information that you can obtain. Don't worry too much about the rate of accuracy, especially at first. Okay? Keep in mind that most renowned psychometrists have the accuracy rate of 80 to 90%. That is, they are inaccurate 10 to 20% of the time. So the important thing is to be confident. What did I say? Believe in yourself. What do I always say? No matter what gifts you're trying to use, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Open up and let it just flow. Because if you shun it, or you're just like, if you block it off, it's not going to work, and you're going to have to start the process all over again. In some incidences, I guess. Patrick said, Missy, I had a spirited young man come through on another stream for Gary. Really? Interesting. Nicole, me either, but it's all about just relaxing your mind. Okay, believe me, I know. The more you practice it, the more it will become easier to meditate. It's just, thoughts are going to come in, acknowledge them, let them go out. Something might else come in, acknowledge it, let it go out. Once you get control of that and just let it go, you won't even, thoughts won't come in as much anymore. Or a lot of times, like, I can't meditate. I can't sit here and meditate with my eyes closed because my eyes will keep wanting to open. So I have, I have to place something, whether it be a blanket. There's many times that I've had a blanket folded in back of me on my pillows and pulled over my head because so the light didn't catch my eyes. But I guess what I want to mostly state about this, whether it be psychometry, clairvoyance, claircognizance, whatever, we all have those abilities. We all have them. Each and every one of those abilities. But because of time and growing up in a world that we don't need to use them anymore, we've basically gotten lazy with it. Like I said, we all have telepathy, but now that now that we have phones, who needs to use telepathy, right? A lot of people don't believe telepathy because yet they'll believe that this little device right here, right, can contact somebody halfway across the world with no wires or anything coming out of it, right? But yet our mind, which we're all connected, right, can't do shit. And, like I said, it's just a matter of opening up and letting them come through. Like I said, fear is what's keeping most of us from using our gifts. Once a lot of us don't want to know that we can control everything in our lives because that gives it credibility to us owning up to things, right? And who wants to own up to things? Just my take on it when it comes to that. Let's see. Let me go through and see. Yeah, Freaky, you're right. Meditation is not easy for some. It's not. It's a learning process. It's, look at it this way. Back in the, ancient times and that, right? They got up when the sun came up. They went to bed when it got dark out, right? Why is that? Because when the sun's up, you watch the sunrise, the melatonin in your brain's telling the melatonin, oh, don't need that anymore. So it puts it away, right? When it's dark out, your brain's going, oh, it's dark, it's time to go to bed. Now melatonin takes a couple of hours for it to go through your, whole system, right? But because we're laying there in bed, and I'm guilty of it, I got to play my Candy Crush before I go to bed. We're sitting there staring at our phones. That's telling us light is going through our eyes and telling us, our brain, oh, it's still light out. So stay up, right? That's why it's not good to go to bed with your TV on. That's why it's not good, because your brain's still active and that melatonin won't get released. So, Andy said, experience has taught me that I don't listen to my gut, I get ill. If you don't listen to your gut, you get ill. A tad homicidal and extremely unsociable, but mainly ill. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Patrick. Patrick says, so it's a way to discover your abilities. Yeah, definitely. Ooh, always watching those lurkers. That's okay. We don't mind lurkers. We love lurkers. But that's good, Nicole. Nicole said, for some reason, I shut down my portal door for a while. Luckily, I can do that now. Couldn't do that in the beginning. Exactly, because you practiced. You practiced shutting that door, right? So, and that's how it is. You just got to practice to, Spitfire. Spitfire says, I think a frying pan might help better. Let's see, I've had a spirit of a young man. Oh, I already read that, Patrick. Oh, let's see. Yeah, everyone, exactly, Amora. Everyone has their own way to meditate. Yep, you got to just find the right, what does for you. It took me forever. It took me forever. And finally realized it was the whole light in the eyes thing for me in meditation. Not that I'm perfect at it now. I'm far from perfect at it. I still, come on. I'm ADHD. It's very hard for me to sit still and not do something, whether it be researching. And that's why, with the OCD thrown in there, researching, always got 15 to 20 tabs open on my computer. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like Amora said, then you found one way that functions for you. And you keep adding on to that. Don't stop at just trying to, oh, I found that one thing, that's the one thing that's gonna work. No. Keep adding on to it, and it'll keep building up to where you'll be like, yeah, shut that door, open that door. Or go into meditation, come out of meditation. It's one of those things. That's pretty cool. The menthol crystals that I burn every day do calm me down. Who wants cookie? Fluky wants a cookie? Oh no, Patrick. It's a cookie monster. I can understand that, Patrick. He said, well, with my PTSD, I have a hard time sleeping when it's quiet. And I so can understand that, because when it's quiet, I am waiting, like, I'm waiting for an explosion to happen. Does that make sense? It's very weird, but when I am quiet, when everything's quiet in the house, like too quiet, I'm waiting for like an explosion to happen. I know, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. Everybody's saying it's cookie time for Fluky. Now I'm going to get swore at in many different languages. So yeah. So I mean, we all have these gifts. It's just opening them up. All right, are we ready for some spooky ghost stories? And when I say this too, I don't know. I just heard a noise, but I don't know what the hell it was. Um, oh, Nicole didn't hear me. Fluky wants a cookie. Oh no, we woke up the cookie monster. I think we woke up Fluky. Fluky wants a cookie. I think you just have to accept that we have to trust our own bodies more than we wish. It will all, in the end, give us what we need. Exactly. Exactly, Amora. That's exactly it. Hey, Simon, how you doing? You all slap yourself now. All right. It's nice and dark here. I hope it's not dark here. It's 11 a.m. We'll go on at 10 to 11 a.m. in the morning here. Gotta love the Alaska time zones. But no, yeah, it's all learning about, you know, letting yourself go and believing in yourself, you know? And again, I think that's when you're open, and when, there's certain things. And don't get me wrong, even though I've been doing this for years, you guys have heard my stories where I freaked myself out or got freaked out because of the woods, out back. can't even say woods, it's a tree line. But because something, I mean, we'll be sitting out there at night and freaking somebody's throwing rocks at the connexes and there's nobody around. Or, that one night, I swear to God, something was in those woods in the tree line, but you couldn't see it. You can hear it moving around, but you couldn't see nothing in there. I mean, there's a lot of, times that I get freaked out. And of course, I mean, obviously, I'm more worried about bear than anything. But that one night where I saw those little saw those little people, the little like Amazonian people. I believe, and I'm just going with my gut, I believe that there was something in those woods, like a Bigfoot or some type of cryptid, that they were protecting, and that, they showed themselves to tell me, back away. Or maybe it was just them themselves, but I believe the way I'm reading it, the way I feel emotionally, is that something bigger was in there, and they could be protecting me. I don't know. But I just know the uneasiness I felt. And was like, okay, done with my cigarette, going in now. No, I just missed somebody. I missed something. All right, Nicole, hurry back. One stood in the grass in my yard at night, and a frog jumped on my bare foot. I got startled. Yeah, you have to laugh at yourself. Yeah, definitely when stuff like, I mean, stupid little things like that, right? You're like, what the hell? And then it's that, All right, so this first one, where is it? Let me find it. No, that's not it. Here it is. Okay. So I saw this on Reddit, and I wanted to get your opinions on it. Because like I said, when spirits mimic somebody, it's a lot of people are like automatically go to negativity, and it's not always negativity. It could be warning them about something. And this happened to a couple of times to this family. So I don't know. And one of the things brought up a good point, and I will definitely explain that at the end of this. But I'm wondering if it was a warning to get them. I wonder if there's questions I have for this person, and I'll probably go ask them after this. But so anyway, here it goes. So they said, so normally I try to rationalize most experiences, but I cannot shake the last few days, and neither can my family. If anyone has any ideas, help a girl out. These things happen over the last 4 days. My daughter comes running downstairs asking, "What did you want, Mom?" I'm cooking, and I haven't said a word to anyone for at least a half an hour. She swears I called her, but we chalked it up to the voices outside, etc. The next night, I'm laying down getting ready for bed. My husband bursts into our bedroom and asks, "Oh my God, are you okay?" Shaking me to make sure I'm alive. I look at him like he's crazy. He says he heard me call him downstairs. He asked, "What?" I did not answer. Then a few seconds later, he hears me screaming, "Chris, help me, help me!" Like literally blood-curdling screams. Meanwhile, I'm relaxing watching an animal documentary. Completely fine. He, on the other hand, looks like he's about to have a heart attack. My mother, who I take care of, comes downstairs the next day asking where my dad is. I have no idea what she's talking about. But she insists I yelled for her upstairs and told her that my dad was here and I made some coffee. It's a common thing I say. But hey, I didn't say this. I was in the bathroom and he wasn't here. Now, the most upsetting thing to me is the very next day, I go to my mom to pick up my daughter at the bus stop. She's running late, and another parent who is now new to the busing of her children this year is standing with us and getting nervous about the bus being late. My mom gets a text from my daughter saying that they got held up in traffic, but are on French Street where we pick her up and we'll be there soon. We show up, and the worried mom next to us in a text, or we show the worried mom next to us with the text, and in a few more minutes they arrive. I tell my daughter I was thankful she had her phone because I was able to let this worried mom know, who was waiting with us, that you guys were coming soon. My daughter has no idea what I'm talking about. She says she never texted and was listening to music the whole time. My mom and me tell her we have the text to prove it. And sure enough, the text is gone now. Even the mom we showed the text to says, that they were on their way, is confused. We all swear we saw my daughter's text. Now it's gone like it never existed. Interesting, right? Now, my first take is, where is all these people when they hear her voice? Like, are in the, I would want to say, like, I want to know if they were in the same room with her, or not same room with her, but in the same room where they heard her voice. Like, if it was one room and the daughter was up there at one point, or the husband was in that room, like, it was trying to draw them out of that room for some reason. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Because that's interesting to me. The text, however, throws me all off. Like, I don't know why a spirit would mimic their daughter to send a text to say, we'll be there soon. Unless it was to comfort that one lady. Do you know what I mean? Um, it's just weird. It's just weird to me how somebody, or why they would text. Yes, Patrick, just, yeah, like phone calls from the dead, yeah. Well, yeah, that's freaky, Heather. Heather's like, I've heard someone call my name and I'm alone. Yeah, that would, yeah. I've heard, I've heard people call my name. Um, but I just think it's the voices in my head. I usually ignore it, especially if I'm alone and it's not like, I've never heard anybody else's voice call my name. Like, I've never heard Eddie call my name, or my boss call my name, or anything like that. It's always some strange voice. It's great the stranger was there to, yeah, it was freaky. Freaky said it's great that the stranger was there to verify the text. Yeah, I mean, somebody they didn't even know. What the hell? Um, but I'd like to know, because somebody brought up the point of carbon monoxide poisoning, and I wonder if they were, like, if they're having problems in, if it was, they were all in one room, that they kept hearing the mom call them from downstairs, or wherever she was. All right, Amora, hurry back. I wonder if they're, like, calling them out of that room to protect them. Do you know what I mean? Interesting, to say the least. Hey, Deanna, how you doing, hon? So, and I came across this, which kind of goes with the psychometry that we were talking about unexplained activity surrounding objects isn't always spirit attachments, right? Another purchase at an antique store results in strange paranormal activity. Instead of being objects attached by spirits, it seemed to be an earthbound energy seeking attention. And you don't think of anything like that. You don't think of things like that. Welcome back, Nicole. Nicole's in the room. Patrick, you've heard your name called when alone as well? Yeah. I mean, I've heard my name being called, but like I said, it's nobody. Hey, Smoking in G Sharp, how are you, hon? Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. I hope everything is well with you. Um, but it's never been anybody that I know. It's weird voices, like I said. Welcome back, Amora. So, a family member bought this object in an antique store. She looked at it and walked about 20 feet away from it, then was drawn back to the object. I've had that happen where I've been drawn to something. But she looked closer at it. It was a great price and decided to buy it. After bringing it home on 8/10/2021, it sat in the garage for a few hours. Later on, she went outside to clean it and wash it out and brought it back inside the home, into a room near the kitchen, and left the object there on the table. She took several photos of the object on the table, then immediately went to the kitchen to clean the dishes. While cleaning the dishes, she felt an intense force rushing up to grab her. She felt the actual pressure on her left side from the disembodied voice coming up on her, and heard something make a sound in her left ear. She can't remember the exact sound, but when she originally told me, it was almost like a negative ah. It wasn't a high pitched yell or anything like that, but just like in the medium range sound. It made her jump, and she let out a loud shriek sound. It was intense, immediately feeling of panic, when it happened. She got that rush. The feeling went away only after telling any negative spirits or energies to leave and that they're not welcome here. Saying this out loud several times in the garage and inside the house, while placing a Bible on the object and holding a cross. At first, when it happened, she thought someone else was playing a trick on her in her house, because she felt the feeling of a male figure. She actually thought it was her husband coming up on her to mess with her. But there was no one around. The closest person she was in the bathroom, quite a distance away, and another person was on a separate floor in the house. And after hearing the shrieking, yelling sound she made, the family member in the bathroom quickly came to the kitchen to ask what happened. It all happened very quickly, around 5:40 local time. This is not the first time an object has been brought home, and very strange things started to happen. Obviously, right? For example, an antique wood clock that was purchased in another state. It was a clock that would hang on a wall and had a very solid latch that would keep it closed. They would come home several times in the morning, and the clock would be completely open, as if someone moved it over to moved the latch and opened it. Sometimes the TV would even turn on in different screens in the same room. But no one messed with the clock, and no one turned on the TV. You would even hear people yelling out your name as if someone was calling for you, but no one was actually calling for you. After getting rid of the clock, those issues basically completely stopped. Today's example was the most negative feeling of all paranormal experiences in this home. But again, things feel much better after telling it to leave and that it's not welcome here. The other experiences did not feel negative, maybe playful or trickstery, but nothing negative. However, the name calling out has someone persisted or continued on, but still is very infrequently. It comes and goes. While writing this story, there are several electronic glitches where I wasn't able to write it out. Like the notepad would scroll up by itself and not let me copy the text I wrote. This long block of text kept deleting itself in real time while I was watching the screen. So I had to copy and paste it into a new note. And while trying to save the image, it froze my computer. Maybe it has nothing to do with it and it's just software issues, but who knows? This item, as with the previous purchase, was removed from the home and given to Goodwill. That's nice. Give it to somebody that, you know. So Lon, because I got this, of course. Hey, Elizabeth, how you doing? Hey, Danny, how you doing? Sorry, I missed all you guys come in the room. I'm so sorry. How y'all doing? Welcome. So, of course, I got, this from Lon over on Phantom and Monsters. And he believes it's not a case of object attachment or possession. He thinks it might be an earthbound energy trying to seek attention. It may be prudent to call, he was saying it may be prudent to call in a spiritual rescuer and see if the energy is willing to move on to another level. But interesting. Have you guys ever bought anything that has, obviously you've heard of, haunted objects, and everything like that. But have you guys ever bought anything, whether it be from an antique store or even a Walmart, anything that you feel had an attachment to it? And if you're listening on the podcast portion of this, definitely write in Shadows of the Moon on the podcast portion of the website. You can either, like I said before, write in and write your story in there, or leave me a voice message if you click the link. Hey, Mo, Eddie is working. The truck didn't come in until 8 o'clock this morning, so let me scroll back up and see who else I missed, if anybody. Let me see your comments. So, yeah, have you guys ever had anything that had an attachment that for a fact that it had? Danny, you're not a part of this because you have things that, I know you have things that have attachments. So, I know you've had many things that have attachments. So, yeah. But if any of you else have, just for, like you didn't even realize, like you didn't buy it for having an attachment, you just was drawn to it and bought it and then realized that it had an attachment to it. Andy, in an hour I got a meeting with my bank manager. If all goes well, I'll be set for life. I'm so excited I can barely put my ski mask on. Wish me luck. Freaking Andy. Only you. Nicole said, I heard my dad shouting at me a few times. Never my mom, though. Interesting. Patrick says, yes, I have. And he's like, no, I'm not robbing the bank. I'm just asking for a sensible size donation. Heather said, maybe some spirits clone a person we know because they know we wouldn't be afraid if we heard or saw our friends or family members that are, still alive. That's true. That's true. Definitely. Yeah, I don't think it's all bad energy or negative that mimics. I really don't. I think a lot of it times too is, like I said, that's why I want to ask those questions, and I'm going to go back there today and actually ask them, were they in a specific room and like the spirit wanted them out of there, whether it be something bad like carbon monoxide leaking into there, or other things that could do something about that room that they didn't want them in. Or maybe that's where the spirit lived and it's like, get the hell out of my room. Let me get them out this way. Scaring them don't make them leave, so let me get them out this way. Amora says, yes, and also have money and trees. So some things, the energy you're glad for. Yeah. Nicole says, just to get our attention is my belief. Yeah, that's a lot. Danny says, okay, hon, looked it up, 613 objects, lol. Yeah, exactly. See, that's why you don't count in this conversation. All in good fun, though. No, seriously, I know. Yeah, yeah. I've watched you, many times. You know that. I'm always usually lurking somewhere. I know. Nicole's like, only 613? True, but you have to watch out for doppelgangers. Yeah, I mean, I'm on the fence with doppelgangers. I honestly think doppelgangers are from another timeline. That somehow, like, our timelines got too close to each other. But true, if that's your belief, definitely. You know, that's okay, Amora. Dead family things, yeah. It's got that energy. All right, so let's go ahead and get into some more ghost stories here. So this person, there's two haunting encounters by experiencers in Indiana and Texas. This is always learn the history of the house before you move in. Nicole, it's funny you say that because, yeah, there is something weird about seeing other families in picture frames at like antique stores or, even Goodwill or anything like that in secondhand stores. Nicole says, mind you, I do not touch photos in secondhand stores. Those tend to give me anxiety big time. And I can totally understand that because I get weirded out by them. I don't know. It's not like I'm like, ooh, can't look at them. I'll look at them and stuff, but I don't know. I just get, yeah. Even old photos in general, I think. Heather said there's an antique store I have been to in this place. As soon as you walk in there, you feel a lot of spirits, or there is really intense. Yeah, I've only walked into one place in my entire life that I've felt bad juju. And it happened to be a grocery store in Batavia where I lived in New York. Um, I don't know what it is today. It's been closed. It's been closed down and reopened. It could be still the Save a Lot, I think. I think that's what it turned into. But before that, it was Jubilee, and it was just a different. Like, stores were closing and opening in that place all the time, and I worked there. I could only work there for a week, and it had nothing to do with the people or anything like that. The people and everything were great to work for. I just couldn't stand the energy, and that's the only time that I quit a job just because I couldn't be in that building. And I've only once, after I quit, only maybe twice went in there ever again. And I lived in Batavia for many, 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 many years, but would not go in that store. We need a campfire. Should I put up a picture of the fire roasting? Okay, Danny, take care, hon. Hope your doctors goes well. Take care of Smoking G. Hey, easily distracted. How you doing, hon? Patrick said spirits can be attached to photos. Definitely. It can be attached to anything. Yeah, see, Nicole says when I did a security, one of the patrols, there was one building that made me sick. Yeah. And you get, like, physically sick. All my mother's photos have been up and vanished from my place. For real, Andy? Did the person physically move them, or don't listen to that, Tidy Labs? That's the wrong link. Yeah, mirrors creep me out. I love having mirrors in the house. Um, but mirrors, I definitely believe that, especially after going around that one mirror downstairs. Um, yeah, there's definitely. I believe mirrors are portals. I don't know how that works. I believe they are. So, all right. This one's kind of on a longer story. Oh, wow, Andy, that's weird. He said a box with 20 pounds of pictures and frames ups and disappears like a fart in the wind. That's crazy. See? Yeah, Nicole, your mom hates light. But see, that's the thing, is it's her, and it's like, okay, I won't do that. That's kind of like, thank you, Mo, for liking and sharing, hon. I appreciate that. Nicole says my mom hated lights. Every time I want to put one in front of her photo, it goes out all the time. Yeah, she's like, listen, why are you putting a light in my face? No. Um, and we tend to listen to people that way, right? Like my brother, I remember when my mom passed away, I was gonna put a thing in the photo, or not a photo, but well, a photo too, but like the obit in the paper, right? And he called me up and he's like, "Don't even think about that." It's like mom told me she didn't want anything in the paper. And he goes, "And you know how she was in life, so I'm not taking a chance of her haunting my ass." I'm like, "Okay, won't do it." you know. Now, and the funny thing is, if you knew my brother, he's a big biker dude, truck driver dude, been a trucker all his life. Not scared of anything, but he was damn scared of my mom haunting his ass. Thank you, Elizabeth, for liking and sharing. I mean, I don't know what the hell that was supposed to be. Um, hey Mo, I'm doing good. How you doing? So this haunted house, like I said, it's kind of on the long side. But in 2003, I bought and moved into a new to me house in Floyd's Knob, Indiana. Shut up, Andy. It was a neat little Cape Cod and perfect as a bachelor pad. Soon after moving in, I started to hear noises in the house, most of them centered around the back door. The house was small, and my bedroom was on the other side of the wall from the back door. Lying in bed, I'd be only about 6 feet away from that door. The noises started as what sounded like someone trying the doorknob to see if it was locked in the middle of the night. It would wake me up, and the sound was unmistakable. Between my bed and the wall that separated the bedroom from the back door was a window that overlooked the back porch. Several times when I heard the noise, I'd look out the window expecting to see a prowler, only to see nothing. Later, I heard noises in the basement. Several times I went to the basement with rounds chambered, expecting to find an intruder, only to find nothing. Now, if you're that scared, you're hearing these noises enough to where you're bringing a gun with rounds, a round chambered in the. Yeah, you're scared. There's somebody in your house. It was a daylight basement with no doors on the outside. So if there was someone in the basement, they'd have to slide through a small tilt-in window. And that's hard to believe. Or come past me through the house. I could be drinking sherry this early, just because this is a coffee cup. No, it's coffee. One day there was a huge crash in the basement. Something big fell. At the time, the basement was unfinished, and all I had down there was a stack of storage totes neatly arranged. If something fell, it would have been obvious. I went to check, and nothing was out of place. Over the years, the trying the door handle sound at the back of the door turned into the unmistakable knocks at the back door. The way the house was situated made the back door the one we primarily used, so hearing a knock at the door was not unusual. Many times I heard knocks and went to answer, only to find no one there. One day I answered an empty door after a knock, and as soon as I turned away, maybe 3 or 4 steps back towards the living room, there was a knock again. Again, no one was at the door. I considered neighborhood kids playing a prank, but there really none of those in the area, and the rural nature of the property made that unlikely in my mind. I found out soon after moving in that my elderly neighbor and her recently deceased husband had built the house I lived in. She was a lovely old lady and would visit on occasion, and I jokingly to myself referred to my ghost as Mr. Scott, knowing he built the house and assuming he came home to rest. In 2009, I got married and my wife moved in with me. She was aware of the stories but wasn't a believer. Soon after, hello, Mr. J. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Soon after moving in, she started hearing the noises at night at the back door. At the time, I was working night shift and she called me a couple times in the middle of the night, quite spooked. On one occasion, I encouraged her to call the sheriff, though she never did. The climax for us came when, not too long after she moved in, she had a friend that was coming over to visit, and the friend called and said the GPS was saying she'd be there somewhere like 6:30. So at 6:30, there was a knock at the back door. The dog barked and got up and went to the back door, and my wife noted that it was the same exact time her friend said she'd be there. But you guessed it, no one at the door. Just as my wife answered the empty door, her phone rang. It was her friend saying she was lost. Now, GPS would occasionally send people to the wrong end of the road, and this happened to her friend. We ended up kind of making peace with whatever was going on there and not being bothered by it. We lived there until 2016, and over the last several years, stopped experiencing anything until the last few weeks after we sold the house. But before we moved out, the knocking came back, as to say, goodbye. This is where it gets fun. Another single guy bought the house from us, and at closing, we were sitting at the table with him, our respective realtors, and the lawyer. At some point, the buyer said he has a list of questions about the house, and do we mind answering them? Sure, no problem. It's questions about the fuel, the oil furnace, what do we do for trash service, basic stuff. Then he asked, have you ever seen a ghost in your house? I'd love to have a picture of my face, the face my wife and I made at that moment. We were saved by the three other ladies in the room laughing and poking fun at the buyer. It bought me time to collect myself and consider my answer. He defended himself, saying he was an EMT and had been in several houses when people have passed and didn't want to be part of that. So I looked him in the eye and honestly answered, I have never seen a ghost in the house. And he was satisfied with that. He wasn't lying, right? He was not lying. He had never seen a ghost. Heard, maybe, but never seen. I'm doing good, Mr. J. How are you? Last year, my Cub Scout pack toured the local fire station where the buyer of the house is now the chief. He gave the tour. We had known that he had since also sold the house, and we struck up a conversation. He told us how much he had enjoyed the house, but he had also gotten married and his new wife had a bigger house that they moved into. I told him, I know you asked if we've seen a ghost, and I answered you honestly that I had never seen anything. But did you ever hear anything? He laughed and he said, oh yeah. He had had the same experiences with the back door in the basement. He has also heard a huge crash in the attic. He said as a fireman, he heard the same crash in house fires and meant the roof is coming down. He investigated to find nothing out of place. He said his wife made fun of him when he told her the stories before she spent much time in the house, but ended up being a believer as well before they sold the place. Hope you enjoyed reading my long story. CL. He was not stretching the truth, Elizabeth. He wasn't lying. He'd never seen a ghost. Thank you for the ice cream, Amora. thank you, Nicole. Did I miss anybody else coming in? I hope I didn't. I'm sorry if I did. Okay, so the next one. What do you guys think? So obviously it wasn't you know, I mean, there was no black-eyed children that showed up with the knock at the door, right? Do you think, hey, cute goth girl gamer? Every time with that name always gets me. Okay, there I'll go with you there, Elizabeth. Omitting the truth. There you go. So do you think? So do you guys think? I mean, I don't think it was the owner because why would he knock? Why would he knock? I mean, maybe he knew that somebody else had his house, but I mean, I don't know. Do you think it was a residual haunting? Well, I know Freaky Geek in New York, it's against the law if you don't divulge that somebody died in the house or that it's haunted. Oh, I'm sorry you're going through that, gamer. I'm sorry. That sucks to go through stuff like that, definitely. I don't know why. I think because Restream brought just hey Ghost Rider, how you doing, hon? Welcome, welcome. I think Tidy Labs just or Restream bot hides other bots besides them talking back and forth. Are you guys talking back and forth? If that makes sense. I think it's just because Tidy Labs is another bot, so Restream's like, well, I'm not sharing that. If that makes sense, I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, gamer. That's hard. Well, our prayers to her, definitely, that she get heals quick. All right, you ready for the next one? Nicole says, I'm always talking back and forwards and sometimes sideways too. Elizabeth said, it's the same here in Northern Ireland. You have to tell. Yeah. The AI only wants to join the chat. You know what? Speaking of AI, Amora, you know what's weird? Is I was listening to a podcast yesterday. I don't know if you guys ever listen to 222 Paranormal Podcast. Great podcast. I love listening to it. That's another one that I listen to while I'm doing laundry at work. And they had somebody talking about obviously spirits and that. And well, she brought up a good point. She's like, Bones, she goes, we don't have to worry about AI in the future. It's already here. She goes, phones are like our pet AI. There are many pets, like what were those games called? Tamagotchis? Back in the 80s and 90s? She goes, that's what it is. That's what it is. Restream can't block comments, Spitfire. Only if I'm programmed it in there. And there's nothing that's programmed. If you're getting blocked by something, that's YouTube, not Restream. But anyway, she's like, our phones are pet AI, basically. They know, I'm sure you guys have heard, when you're talking about stuff, all of a sudden apps will pop up, about what you were talking about. Or take it even further, I've heard people even thinking about things, ads will pop up Talk about your strange there. You got a PS4? I have a PS3, I think. I can't remember which one I had. Yeah, we've had AI, exactly. But yeah, I thought that was weird. A little thing that it was weird to me. I never thought of it that way, and I was just like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. I'm the one few that leaves their phone hidden when I'm out with people. Yeah, I'm the same way. I hardly. Well, you know, Nicole, how many messages have you wrote me and I've never wrote back just because I set my phone down. I use it for specific things. I don't use it to talk to people, obviously, right? No, but I use it to listen to my podcast when I'm at work and um, play my Candy Crush at night before I go to bed. That's basically what my cell phone is for. Nicole's like, I have patience with you. I know. I still have not. Remember the last time I was talking, my niece had wrote me, my nephew had wrote me, and I still have not gotten back to them. I'm bad when it comes to stuff like that. I'm really, really bad. I'm telling you. That's why you don't see me advertising everywhere. uh, except unless it's in my, and I forgot to do it anyway, unless it's in my stream deck to push the buttons, I don't advertise, just because once in a while I do. Or if I got it like in a program to advertise, because I forget to. I'm bad when into things like that. Freaky geek, that happened with my Facebook many times. Think or talk about something and get advertising for it. Yes, exactly. Nicole said, if Missy doesn't reply to my messages, I'm harassing Andy. But yeah, definitely. It's crazy. All right. On to the next story. They said, I haven't thought about this in a long time. In high school, either in 2006 or 2007, myself and three of my friends were hanging out at our friend Jake's house, which is in the country outside of Carthage, Texas. We would stay up all night in those days, like most teenagers do, right? This particular night, the four of us went walking in the woods. At one point, we all heard something or someone walking. We heard the crunching of leaves. It sounded just like the crunching of leaves beneath your own feet. Well, we all stopped and called out, hello? We got no reply. And thinking our imagination had got the best of us, we nervously laughed it off and continued walking. It could have been a deer or any sort of critter that we put in our mind. As we continued on, we walked two by two. I was walking directly behind my friend Jake, and all of a sudden I bumped into him because he had stopped abruptly. He said, did you all see that? We looked around and we didn't see anything unusual. He said, I saw a woman wearing a white dress. Now at this point, I think he's pulling our leg, and I'm like, come on, man, you're messing with us. He said, no, feel my arm. Well, it was a warm night, and every hair on his arm and back of his neck was standing up. I think he was telling the truth. We have been friends for many years, and if he was joking, he would eventually tell me that he was joking. The rest of us never did see anything, but I believe what he saw, and I believe he saw what he said he saw. So, have you guys ever been out in the woods or anywhere and just like, I mean, not ghost hunting or paranormal, not doing anything like that. No paranormal. I mean, once you're a paranormal investigator, though, usually it's always on your mind. But not going out on a ghost hunt or anything like that, not even thinking about ghosties, right? And just seeing something go by and you're like, wait a minute. Do you think that's what starts most of us as ghost investigators, paranormal researchers? Is that we see something we can't explain? and we just research the hell out of it and end up in this whole world of the paranormal. I think that's what they meant, Freaky Geek. That he was like, feel my arm to feel the hair standing up. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Heather said, yeah, for sure. Nicole said, yups, and I love it. Right, yeah. That's just it, Nicole. Yeah. She's like, I never intended to do paranormal research. It just happened. Still does. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is at least on my path, right? Once I think I figured it out, something else comes along and says, no, you haven't. Research this. And then I'm like, oh my God. You know, here's a ghost story from Austin. A spook appeared. So, oh, this happened in 1912, right? The following newspaper article appeared in Honesdale, PA, the Honesdale, PA Citizen on October 9th, 2012, or 1912. September 30th. Oh, I see what happened. Okay, wait a minute. Spook appeared about a year before a big dam broke on September 30th. September 30th was the first anniversary of the Austin flood, which destroyed the Potter County town and drowned many of its inhabitants, says the Clinton County Times. It is known that the people of Austin had a scare early in the spring when the high water and pressure moved into the dam a few inches from its foundation, and those residents took to the hill where they remained all night and part of the next day until the water receded. But it is not generally known that the residents had another scare shortly before this before this happened, when a ghost appeared that frightened some of the people and was the talk of the town. While the people were on the hillside, a young man came to Lock Haven to report the situation to his sister, who with her family were much unstrung and worried because all kinds of rumors were heard. One rumor afloat that the dam had broken with horrible results. The young man called on the writer before returning to Austin and told about his and the other folks who were on the hill in the chilly rain expecting the big dam to break at any moment and be rushing water carrying away their houses, stores, and other buildings before their eyes. Before leaving, he mentioned a ghost and related few words of the ghostly tales that were the talk of the town until the threatening conditions of the dam seemingly scared away the ghost and the talk. In the railroad and on and off the cars were places the ghost haunted. Oh, in the railroad, on and off, and the cars were placed. Okay, the ghost haunted and frightened the railroaders with its queer and spooky actions. It was very tall man ghost dressed in black that would appear and disappear mysteriously, and had no questions asked for those who saw it. Did not care to ask questions or its business. The railroad men naturally felt uneasy or scared with a ghost riding their cars, and none of them attempted to put off what they saw crawling between and running over the cars. Oh, that's freaky. Crawlers scare the fuck out of me. I'm not going to lie. Crawlers just scare the fuck out of me. Although, I mean, I've seen my shadows, the ones here, that like crawl on the ceiling or are on the ceiling, but they don't crawl freakishly. Is that even a word? They don't crawl like weird. Take care, Amora. Thanks for coming in, hon. I appreciate it. Um, but yeah, I don't know. They just don't move weirdly. They just, you know what I mean? They just sit there on the ceiling. But crawlers, that, yeah, no. So, about a year after the arrival of the ghost, the dam broke, with the result that will always be remembered by those who witnessed the horrible scenes. In their misfortune following the flood, the Austin people, who fortunately escaped with nothing valuable but their lives, forgot a little thing like a ghost, and the ghost must have been scared out by the dam talk or lost its life in the flood. The gentleman who brought the tale about the apparition to Lock Haven when the giant dressed in black was doing the ghost walk at Austin figured prominently in the stories of the flood. He was one of the many heroes of the disaster. He was a newspaper man, and by good luck happened to be home when the dam broke and sent out the first news of the catastrophe. Was well written considering the situation and the fearful story to tell the outside world. Immediately, the newspaper and magazine had their best writers and photographers on the way to Austin. The professional writers and news gatherers not told of the ghost because the survivors of the flood were stunned, and for that reason, to what happened before the rising of the water and the breaking of the dam with all its indescribable effects. Yeah, you're right, Patrick. You saw the cat. You thought I had a cat. And yeah, I remember. I've seen a couple ghost cats now. I don't have crawlers, mostly floaters. That's true. Yes, I've seen them, Nicole. I know. I don't know what the cat is. I mean, I've had many cats as pets, but oh, everybody who escaped in the flood had a sad tale to tell the correspondence, but none of them mentioned a ghost. If they did, one of the fellows might have begun his of the flood with a ghost coming to Austin and being a spirit from the side of life that came to warn people of the danger and what to follow, and that nobody cared to quiz the spook. The writer might have started his big news truthfully. Who knows? So yeah, I mean, but a lot of people say that they'll see a ghost before something happens, like a harbinger of death, right? Like the guy that walks the waters, not waters, but he walks the I can't think what they're called, by the lighthouse. He walks by the lighthouse when usually there's a big storm coming to rip through there. No, well, not the Mothman is like a harbinger of death. I believe he is. I think he's a warner. He's just a warner of things coming. Kind of like when natives think you see a raven, that's a harbinger. Well, no, was he a lighthouse keeper? Yeah, I believe he was. I think you're right, Heather. The lighthouse keeper. Yeah, he's just there to warn people that something's going to happen, like a misty figure. Yeah, yeah. See, now the spirits that people see, the harbingers of death, they're the ones that are like they're misty. They can tell that they're there, but they're you can tell it's a ghost. That's awesome, Ghost. Ghost says I can feel the ghost of my mom is still around me. That's pretty cool. No problem, Andy. Andy's like back. Sorry, got that sudden uncontrollable urge to play with my instrument and have a good strum. Just for the facts, everybody, Andy plays guitar. Hey, Rain, how you doing, hon? It's hard, Nicole. Definitely, when you've had 5 premonitions, more imprints that someone's gonna die. You don't know. Yeah, it's it's probably always gonna be strange to you. You know. That reminds me, though, when we were talking about um psychometry and stuff. When we were talking about like spirit guides and our higher self. A lot of people that their like gifts are right there on the edge are a lot of artists and stuff like that. Kind of like because the overthinkers, right? The overthinkers are definitely more apt to have their gifts come through, just because, like with artists and everything like that, people who play musical instruments or write music and stuff like that. Well, that muse is talking to you all the time, right? Muse is talking to you all the time. It's the same thing with gifts. When you're overthinking something, mainly it's because probably, well, could be, I don't know for sure, but in my theory, your spirit guide or higher self is talking to you, telling you tidbits. You know what I mean? Just my take on thing. Hey, Paranormal Circle, how you doing, hon? Welcome, welcome. So, I mean, that's just my take on it, right? So here we got a lady in the woods ghost story from Rock Island, Illinois. Was sighted at a small park, smack dab in the middle of town. The park is surrounded by roughly 4 to 5 acres of timber. It says from the witness, the following story is 100% true. The years listed above are the estimated dates that this story roamed free for me. It was the only time in my entire life that I've ever questioned my own sanity and my own perceptions. I ask that you read the story in full, as this one of the few cases where there is an actual ending to the story. I'm writing this today because I believe this story is one that we can learn from. Okay. So sometime in roughly 93, 94 was the first time I heard about the lady in the woods. I was in 5th grade, hanging out with some other boys on grade school grounds. The story is your typical ghost story. Mel Mac no, at Mel McKay Park, our local hangout just blocks away, a child went missing after the sighting of a ghost. More specifically, the ghost of a woman dressed in all white. They didn't know the name of the child, but claimed that it happened in 1987. Another boy chimed in. There was also an adult who went missing the night after a sighting of the same ghost a few years later. In both cases, the sightings happened after the park closed, well after midnight. The park is nestled in between neighborhoods, and there have been reports of people who have moved out of their homes after seeing the women drift through the woods. There are other stories I've heard in years that have included witchcraft, Satan worshiping, kidnapping, murder, and the occult. The story gained more momentum when another boy in our class, a few months later, found a pentagram sprayed on a tree on a path near the park. We actually rode our bikes out to see it. It was definitely there, crudely painted in what looked like a real hurry. It was one of those things where there was no real way to know if the pentagram was part of the story or was put there because of the story. When you're in 5th grade, you rarely stop to think about those things, and you really don't think about those things through. You only see what's in front of you, and I was seeing was definitely creepy. So, May of 1995, a friend of ours, Michael, lived only a block away from Mackey Park. His parents decided to allow him to have a sleepover for his birthday party. He invited 10 of us boys to stay the night, just doing what boys do. Michael knew all the Mackey Park ghost stories. He lived the closest of all of us and had a neighbor who would give him all kinds of crazy information, or so he claimed. He rehashed a lot of the stories we had already heard, and even added a few others. After some time, and the clock made its way near 1 a.m., it finally happened. One of the boys suggests we sneak out, see if we could find this ghost lady. So that's exactly what we did. We all made our way outside, quiet enough, and made our way to Mackey Park. Once we made it to the park, we broke up into groups. A few walked on the overgrown Little League baseball field. A few headed towards the playground equipment near the old street light in the park. Myself and another stayed on the parking lot nearest to Michael's house. Yes, we were the skittish ones. I wish I could give you all kinds of cool things we did, but in real life, it's not that cool. Essentially, we're just kind of walked around, looking, waiting. Really, we only had been there about 15 to 20 minutes when it happened. I kid you not. Just like the story, within minutes of us showing up. It was like a Lifetime movie. There she was, in the woods to my north. I see what looks like a pale, white woman. White hair, white flowing clothes, and white pants. In the night, she looked to glow. It was literally the perfect example of what you would think as a ghost. I had never been so scared in my whole entire life. To this day, it's still the most terrifying moment that I've ever been in, and that includes an automobile accident. Everyone saw her, all 10 of us. She stuck out like a sore thumb. We jetted. I mean, we ran faster than any of us have ever ran before. All of us completely silent, moving at our fastest rate towards Michael's home and safety. I could embellish here and tell you that she chased us or made us way towards us. I could make it out like her head split in half and bees came flying out. But none of that happened. In fact, she was facing a different way entirely. I don't believe the ghost lady even knew we were there. She looked as though she was simply peering deeper into the woods, as opposed to staring out at us, frightening little boys running away terrified. That was that. We all made it back safely. We spent the night, or we spend the rest of the night worried this ghost lady, is going to show up and kidnap us. She never showed, and we returned to school, and the Lady of the Woods became legend. All of us shared our story. All of us backed each other up. We even told one of our teachers. She politely listened and then changed the subject. It was the coolest, most terrifying thing that's ever happened to us. We had one of the best campfire stories in history. So time passes, like it always does. We moved on from the grade school to junior high, then to graduating high school. Once we got a little older, the story took a backseat to girls and just living life. I wouldn't say the story died. I know we spoke of it in passing, and I know the story continued on to the grade school, at least for a short time when we left. One of the 10 boys from the birthday party died of suicide shortly after high school, and it took everything in me not to blame the ghost story on the situation. I don't believe the two are related. We all moved to college, and I lose touch with all of them, but all but one of the 10, though I have a few on Facebook. 2010. After coming home from college and struggling to find my way in life, I finally start to get my act together. I find a full-time job. I'm married my now wife, got a dog, and even had a couple of kids. Eventually, we purchased our first home, which so happens to be blocks from my childhood house. I ended up in a little tiny house 2 streets over from Mackey Park. After those floating years, I ended up back where it all started. On my days off, I walk my dog in the very park where the Lady of the Woods scared me almost to death. This is where you start to question yourself and your senses. At 27 years old, I would stare at the location where I saw the lady glowing all those years prior and try making sense of it all now. Now older and wiser, you spend a lot more time trying to feel things out rather than reacting. How in the world did I see a ghost in 6th grade with 9 other people who saw the same thing? I know it wasn't a dream. How could we be collectively dreaming? I know it wasn't imagination. It was really there. What I saw was real, but your brain has a funny way of making things fuzzy. It's hard to explain, but you start to question everything. You know it's real, but you know it's not. That sentence shouldn't be, but that's just how my mind would read the situation. It really was something that I wrestled with a bit, just trying to figure it all out. Summer of 2012, there I am on a walk with my dogs coming along the side of the timber where I saw the lady of the woods all those years ago. I'm thinking of her again. I'm thinking of my childhood friends. I'm wondering if they ever think of that moment like I do. The thought the thought passes as I move along with that leads me out of the park. In front of me, a large trailer hooked up to a pickup sits in the driveway nearest the park's wooded area. There's a middle-aged man moving some things into the trailer as I approach. He sees me and says hello. I say hello and decide to make small talk. I ask him if he's moving, and the man responds that he's just recently sold the home. It was his parents' house, and it had sold to a young couple closing was coming up shortly. I mentioned a few other things and then started to head off, but I stopped because that ghost story was on my mind. I decided to ask the man I didn't know if he knew the story. Why I did is beyond me. It's definitely not something I would just normally bring up in conversation, but this house was the closest one to the sighting, and I needed confirmation that somebody else out there still knew the story. I don't remember. Hey, Lady Blind Wolf, how are you, hon? Welcome. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I basically asked him if he ever heard the ghost stories. I'll never, in my remaining years, forget what happened next. The man looks at me and smiles. He tells me he's heard those stories plenty times. I'm actually relieved he had because I didn't actually think through how the conversation would go if he had had no clue what I was talking about. I then proceeded to give him the shortened version of the story you just read above. He listened and I could tell he was very interested. When I finished, he takes a moment and responds. I used to live in this house before the park was built. My parents raised me here. I moved out in 83 or 84, and I believe the park was built somewhere between 84 and 86. And my parents have been here ever since. My dad passed away in 91, and it was just my mom after that. That ghost you saw? That was my mom. I looked at him completely confused as he continues. My mom had some medical issues that started in the mid 80s and continued to wind up until she passed away this last spring. The medicine they had her on would cause her to sleepwalk. I can't even count the amount of times I received calls in the middle of the night from the police department advising me that they found my mother wandering in the park. I was told recently one of the neighbors moved out because they were tired of all the commotion. My sister lives in Texas. I could never get it through her thick skull that my mom needs to move to assisted living, so this went on for years. I found out from some friends that she had become a ghost story to the park. You see, my mom had a favorite robe that was all white and always slept in the same pearl silk pajamas. Everything was white. She even had white gloves that she would put on from time to time. I can only imagine what that would look like in the middle of the night. That lamp over there on the playground would light her up like a Christmas tree, so it was never hard for the police to locate her. So you see that ghost you saw? That was just my mom sleepwalking, probably. I bet I even got a call that night. Take care, Freaky Geek. Thanks for coming in. So I'm sitting there, I'm speechless. The lady in the woods was real. She wasn't a ghost. She wasn't a dream. She was simply a woman. She was this man's mother, lonely and suffering from some medical condition that had her wandering in the woods at night. I only wish I knew more. I never saw that man again. The new couple moved in and probably obviously oblivious to the ghost story of his previous occupant had created. So I wonder, does her legend live on? Is some fifth grader right now hearing the story for the first time of the lady in the woods? How she appeared and kidnapped children? How there was a witch who murdered those who had seen her in the middle of the night? 2021, I've moved from that tiny house to a new bigger house in the new city. I can no longer visit Melmacate Park. I never did learn the lady's name, and I always kick myself for not asking the man many more questions. The things that I find so interesting is how a story becomes what it is. How one event, one story can impact individuals like me as it did. I still think of that lady from time to time when a story rolls out that seems impossible. The lady in the woods comes to my mind. Sometimes the story is real, but the context is muddled. This single event impacted my approach to everything. I listen, I take it in all the story I can. If it seems impossible, I hold my tongue. Maybe it is impossible. Or maybe it's just being interpreted wrong. SS. Very interesting. Very interesting. That's a good question too, Heather. I wonder if she passed now, if she still walks around the woods and park. That's a good question. I wonder if the legend really became a legend. Do you know what I mean? But it makes you think. Yeah, you got it. That's why when it comes to paranormal stuff, I mean, I love stories. You guys know that. That's why otherwise I wouldn't do it, right? I love stories. If a person, I mean, if you saw this kid and this kid was terrified of this lady in the woods, right? The legend, the lady of the woods, because he saw a lady in the woods, right? His whole life was changed because of that, and come to find out she was a real lady. She was alive. That's right, Rain. They do say things like that come true. Yeah. Who's to say? Yeah. That now she passed on, like Heather said, if she walks around the woods. Like it's a new legend, but from an old legend. It's pretty freaking wild. See, I love when people share stuff like that. Because you don't think about things like that. At least I don't. You know what I mean? That's just me. I don't think about things like that. But, I mean, to have an experience like that, I mean, that freaked him out. Freaked him out all the time. Or his whole life. And here to come all these years later, you find out that that was a real lady. That's crazy. Yeah, and urban legends become reality, exactly. Wishful thinking or wishful wishing. Yeah. Hi. Oh, I can't. I don't even know how to say that. I'm going to say BW for Ben's Wine. Good. How are you? Welcome to the stream. I'm sorry. I don't want to butcher your name. So don't want to butcher your name. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. All right, guys, you know what time it is. The stream is ending. 2 hours. Hopefully you guys like the stories and the talk on psychometry. Yeah, just remember, you guys we all have those gifts. Oh, okay. All right. Definitely better. Well, welcome to the stream and welcome. Thank you so much for following. I appreciate it. All right, guys. Um, Tomorrow, of course, is Tarot Tuesday. We're going to do some tarot readings tomorrow. Wednesday, we got some pretty damn good shows coming up. Wednesday is Flying Cryptid Day. We're going to talk about flying cryptids, right? We're going to talk about, no, we're not. I lied. Wednesday is UFO Day. See, I haven't streamed in so long that I can't freaking remember. So Wednesday is UFO Day. We're going to talk some creepy stories from experiencers. You're the best around. We're going to ask, did the men in black come calling in Tuscany, Italy, then suddenly vanish? You're the best. You guys are awesome. Now I read this story to Eddie. Eddie does know about this story because it was so wild. A son recalls his mother transforming into a huge growling reptilian creature. Then we're going to talk about a UFO encounter, alien abduction in South Carolina. A rectangular object hovers over a low Pennsylvania highway. Alien greys forcibly abduct an Indianapolis couple over a 2-week period. Bizarre and unexplained UFO extraterrestrial encounters. Then, of course, we'll look at UFO stalker, see how many sightings have been seen. Then, Thursday, we're going to talk about the winged creatures. We're going to talk about pterodactyls seen in Maryland, Texas, and California. Florida witness observes a large group of flying dragons that eventually, get this, gather aboard a craft. Fucking weird, right? A red-eyed winged humanoid observed near Braden, Florida. Large winged cryptids in Kansas, Florida, Wisconsin, and Connecticut. And a huge, get this, guys, a huge translucent manta ray. A manta ray shaped entity observed over Burnside, Kentucky. And then, of course, Friday is Freaky News Friday. So, I mean, we got some weird-ass stories coming up. And I definitely want to discuss them with you. If you are over on dlive, get on over there because I have put 200 lemons in the chest. Hype up that chest. Let me go ahead. You guys know I love you. Go ahead and roll the credits while I sit here and talk. Did it go? I don't even know. I'm not on the right screen. There we go. All right, guys, I am opening the chest now. If it does not open for you, click on the chest, and it should. You have 20 seconds, guys. Get those lemons as the credits be rolling. Thank you, everybody who stopped in today to say hi. Love you guys. Love you guys so much. Remember, if you have a creepy story to tell and want to share with us, even if you want to remain anonymous, let me know and I will keep you anonymous. But head on over to shadowsofthemoons.com and go to the podcast portion. There is a contact me form. Write your story out there, or better yet, click on the link that's an orange little link that says here and leave me a voice message and let me know what you guys seen or experienced. I'd love sharing your stories. Thank you, Heather, for sharing that out. Thank you both, my mods, all you guys. You guys are freaking amazing. You really are. All right, who got what lemons? Heather got 105.6. Nicole got 61.0. And Rain got 44.4 lemons. All right. With that being said, again, tomorrow is Tarot Tuesday. Come on in for your tarot readings. And I'll see you guys then. Remember, guys, I love each and every one of you. My podcast people, if you're listening after the show, thank you so much for listening. Without you guys, without you guys, I'd be boring. All right, Nicole, go get your coffee. I love you guys. See you tomorrow. Thank you to all my new followers and my subbers. I appreciate you guys. Hope to see you around. Look forward to getting to know you guys. And yeah, take care, be safe. And remember, guys, find something today that makes you smile with your eyes. Love you guys. Mwah. Bye. Maybe it don't want to end. All right, there we go.